relatively modern phenomenon in some places in the world, such as North America and other places. In Singapore and in Malaysia and others, there have been, well not Malaysia, but other places in the region, there have been pockets of Muslims living for hundreds of years, correct? So it's not as if this is something, a new phenomenon. But speaking from experiences overseas and other lands, let me say a number of things need to stick in your minds. First and foremost, minorities are always under scrutiny by the majority. The majority can get away with things the minority cannot get away with. This is human nature. It's nothing to do with Islam or other than Islam. Human nature. Minorities are always under scrutiny. And it is very easy for certain elements of the majority to stigmatize the minority. Very easy. We have this problem in America of Islamophobia. We have this problem of certain groups, Fox News and others, they stigmatize the entire Muslim community. In order to overcome that stigmatism, you need to understand every one of you is an ambassador to the faith. Every one of you becomes pretty much the main resource that your neighbors and friends, your colleagues have about the faith. If you are not going to act in accordance with your faith, if you are going to be dishonest, cheat, lie, steal, then what image are you giving of the messenger whom you claim to follow? Whether you like it or not, it is human beings who shape perceptions in society. And if you are not going to live up to the ideals of your own faith, you will be judged based on your faith. This is not how it should be. It is how it is. And if a Muslim lives up to those ideals, acts in accordance with the Sharia, acts in accordance with the Sharia. Let me give you a simple example from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. How old was the Prophet ﷺ when he began preaching Islam? Tell me. 40 when the revelation began, correct? What did he do for the first 40 years of his life? Was it irrelevant to his next 13 years? 23 years? Was it nothing to do with that? Or was it a build-up? Was it the establishment of social credibility? Social credibility. When our Prophet ﷺ began preaching the message of Islam, his community already knew him, did they not? What did they call him? Al-Amin. He was known as Al-Amin before he was called a Rasul. Think about this. Now, why is this relevant? What does that got to do with anything? Because you cannot cause an impact on society when you don't show them the reality of who you are. You cannot cause an impact on society by being isolationist. Why was he known as an Amin? Because everybody knew him to be compassionate, kind, honest, trustworthy, respectful. Which means what? He is establishing a legacy even before he establishes an ultimate legacy, which is Rasulullah. Our problem comes for many of us is that we think Islam is just about preaching theology. It's about giving pamphlets and handing free Qurans or whatnot. But Islam is more than this. It is actions. It is causing a proactive, positive change in society. It is bringing about wherever you go, you will bring about a change that the people will discern and detect and feel and love you for. You know when the inspiration began, when Iqra was revealed, the Prophet came running to Khadija, Zammiluni, Dathiruni, she covered him up. What did Khadija radiallahu anha say to the Prophet? Wallahi, la yukhzika Allahu abada. Allah will never cause you to be humiliated. Why? Number one, innaka la tasilu rahim. You're good to your family. Number two, you feed the poor. Number three, you take care of the orphan. Number five, you feed the wayfarer. Number six, number seven. She gives a long list. It's in Sahih Bukhari, this hadith, famous hadith. This whole list is about social work. This whole list is about being compassionate and merciful. This whole list is about being a positive contributor to your society. She summarizes in the CV the Prophet Muhammad before Iqra. And because he had that CV, then he could begin Iqra. You guys follow what I'm saying? You need to have social credibility in your community. And to have social credibility, this means You need to get involved in your society. You need to cause a positive change. Hunger, poverty, racism, any problem. It's not an Islamic problem. It's a human problem. It doesn't matter if the child is Buddhist, Hindu. A hungry child is a hungry child. Needs to be fed. This is what our religion teaches us. And here's the point here. Listen to this carefully, brothers and sisters. We don't feed the poor and take care of the orphan and bring about social change that's positive because we want PR for Islam. Because we want a photo taken and say, oh, the Muslim is taking care of the poor person. No, we don't do this because it's PR for Islam. We do it because it is Islam. We do it because it is the religion of Islam. Look at the earliest revelations in Mecca. The earliest revelations was about what? وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. Feeding the poor people, feeding the orphans. The earliest revelations is, if you don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِهِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. He's not good to the orphan, which means the Muslim has to be what? Good to the orphan. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He's not encouraging feeding of the poor, which means what's the Muslim going to encourage? Feeding of the poor. Of the earliest Quranic revelations, don't kill your daughters because you're scared of poverty, right? So the Muslims are in the forefront. Do not kill your daughters. There were people that would say, give me the daughters. I will take care of them if you're not going to feed them. This is Islam. Now, when you do this in society, here in Singapore, whatever other problems and issues, poverty, hunger, racism, Muslims need to take the charge and bring about a positive. Then people will see what is Islam. This is contributing to society. And that is the best thing you can do. Not because you want PR for Islam. We don't need PR. But because that is what Islam is. And in my opinion, really, this is one of the biggest mistakes, that we don't view these things as being Islamic causes. We don't view these things as being Islamic causes. Whereas in reality, this is the essence of Islam. Is that, yes, you believe in Allah and the Prophets, of course, that's theology. But theology has to come with action as well. And action means you bring about a change in society that is positive, that is needed, social change. So my advice to myself and all of you, wherever you are as minorities, we need to take the leadership roles when it comes to bringing positive change to the community. That will bring about respect. And I'll conclude with this example, that one of the most interesting countries I visited when it comes to Muslim dynamics is South Africa. South Africa has far less percentage of Muslims than you guys do. And yet, the Muslims of South Africa, generally speaking, are beloved and respected. The broader society and public loves them. Why? Many reasons. Of them is that in the anti-apartheid movements, the Muslims were at the forefront. Many people, all of us know Nelson Mandela. We don't know his second man was Brother Yusuf, who died in jail. And Nelson Mandela publicly mentioned his name when he was released his big speech. He said, I want to acknowledge Yusuf, I forgot his last name, who died with me in jail. Sacrificing. You know, the ambassador of South Africa to America. Ambassador of South Africa to America. The most prestigious ambassadorship. He is Mr. Ibrahim. Ibrahim, Muslim. Not just that. MashaAllah, as far as we've been practicing Muslim, I mean, I've met him a number of times. He begins his talks, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Rasulullah. Bearded guy, prays after he doesn't drink. Ambassador of South Africa to America. And I asked him, I mean, didn't your Islam come in the way of you being, because he just looked at me because I didn't know this. It's like, we are the government respects us immensely. Why? Because the Muslims of South Africa contributed to the economy, contributed to the anti-apartheid movement, contributed to the positive role that the Muslims are known to take care of so many causes. And so the people love them. This is the